Hello, I'm Milenka Berengolc, Director of Special Projects at BCID, the Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled. And this is the first in a series of 4 webinars dedicated to accomplished women advocates. And we have the pleasure tonight of having Sharon Krischer, who is a fierce advocate, I'll say, for the Parkinson's community. And I would like to introduce Sharon by first reading a short bio, so we get a sense of who she is. So Sharon was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2009. She has since become an advocate for men and women affected by the disease to find a way to move on. Sharon uses daily exercise as a key component for her to live well with Parkinson's. She plays tennis, badly in parentheses, ping pong, attends yoga and boxing classes, and travels around the world. Sharon lives in Beverly Hills, California, with her very supportive husband, Joel. They have 3 daughters and 4 grandchildren. Sharon started Twitchy Woman. I just love that title, Twitchy Woman, as a way to exchange ideas and solutions with others whose lives have been affected. It has been recognized by Everyday Health, Healthline, Stanford University, and more as one of the top Parkinson's blogs to follow. Among the many accolades, FeedSpot just recently recognized Twitchy Woman on their new list of influencers, and Twitchy Woman is number 44. Sharon writes, "I am amazed to be included with so many young onset people who actually know how to use Instagram and TikTok." So, very good. So are you ready for my questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. You were diagnosed in 2009. What was going on then in your life symptomatically that led you to seek out a movement disorder specialist?
About a year before I was diagnosed, or before I went to a doctor, I was just sitting at my desk writing, and my foot would start shaking. And I'd just shake out my hand, shake out my foot, it would go away, it would come back. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just intermittent. And about 6 months later, I fell. My dog pulled me down, a much bigger dog than this one. She pulled me down in my front yard on the wet grass, and I fractured my ankle. And soon after that, my foot started twitching a lot more. And I went to the doctor, and we didn't know if it was something I did when I fell. Maybe I damaged something else. So he gave me some Xanax and said, "Take this for a week and see how you do." Well, I felt really good from the Xanax, but the twitch didn't go away. So he sent me to a neurologist a few months later, who eventually diagnosed me with Parkinson's.
Okay.
So,
How did you react to the diagnosis?
I didn't know how to react. I knew one person, a friend of my father's, who had Parkinson's, and I had already moved to LA, so I'd see him occasionally when I go back to visit my parents. And he was the only person I knew who had Parkinson's. I knew nothing about it. And except it was an old man's disease, right? So
Yes,
especially in 2009.
I was going to ask you about misconceptions later
Yeah.
on, but yeah. So from 5 years, you wrote, of avoiding PD support groups, PD exercise groups, conferences, you became a blogger. What changed? 5 years,
Okay.
that's a long time.
5 years. I was in denial for a long time. During that time, my mother had a stroke, so I was going back and forth taking care of her. I had breast cancer. I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer and Parkinson's the same week. So I had to, that was my priority. You know, I knew my mother had breast cancer, my sister had breast cancer. I had to take care of myself. I was
Course.
fortunate. I call it my barely there breast cancer. It was very small, stage 1, and had a lumpectomy and radiation. And you know, it took, and I slept so well when I was going through radiation. It was wonderful. But that was one of the
Right.
other things, was I hadn't slept well in years. So
Oh,
finally I got some relief from the
right, right,
fatigue
right.
because of radiation of all things, but that's one of the side effects.
That you sleep
So
well.
yeah, yeah, you sleep a lot.
You sleep a
So
lot. Well,
I took a
that you
lot of
went.
wonderful naps. So anyway, so what changed was um I finally dragged myself. There was a Fox Foundation event in Los Angeles, and I asked my husband to go with me, and we went together. And that was like a turning point. You know, it was, I saw other people with Parkinson's who were doing well. I saw some who weren't doing well. At this point, I knew a lot because I was reading everything I could find. That's just how I am. And, you know, I was trying to hide it for a long time. And after a while, you realize that people know what's going on. And some people would come up to me and say something directly, others would say something indirectly. You know, are you feeling okay? But a couple of them came out, you know, right out and said, "Do you have Parkinson's?" Because they had a family member who had it. They knew what to look for. And yeah, so I started getting phone calls from people saying, "Can I talk to this person? Can I talk to that one?" And as I said, I had not come out yet with having
Come
Parkinson's,
out.
yet I was getting the
Right.
phone calls to talk to people. So I thought, what if I started writing something, write a blog, and just send it to them? If, you know, rather than having to spend an hour at Starbucks with each person, drowning in coffee. So that's how it
Hmm.
got started. So it's been, it started in 2015,
Uh-huh.
14, 15, I can't remember.
Wow,
It's been
that's a
10 or
while.
almost 11 years, I think.
That's
So,
well, that's great. That's great. And you called it. What did you call it?
Twitchy Woman, My Adventures with Parkinson's.
I love that title.
Thank you.
Did it?
It just fit. You know, I love the song Witchy Woman. Obviously, that's where it came from. And
Right, right,
it
right.
just worked.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Great, great. Um, well, you had one pivotal moment also when you were chosen as one of 25 women to attend the Parkinson's Foundation's Women and PD conference. And
Right.
that was very exciting for you. What was that conference about?
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So that puts everything in perspective. Okay. So that means I started the blog in 2014. The event was in 2015. And when I started my blog, or maybe I don't know. When I started the blog on WordPress is the platform I use, they have classes on how to start a blog. So I took a class, and one of the things we had to do was find other people blogging about the same subject. And it was very hard. There were only a few. In 2009, or no, it was 2015. There were not a lot of bloggers out there. Um, but I became friendly with a couple of them. We go back, you know, talk, email back and forth. And one of them told me that there was this conference that was going to be held in New Jersey that was sponsored by what was then called the Parkinson's Disease Foundation. So, and you had to apply. They were opening it for 25 women. So I sent an application in, and I didn't hear from them. I didn't hear from them. And it was getting close, and it was right in between the Jewish holidays, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And I needed to know if I was in or not. And I think I badgered the person who was in charge, but she told me I was in, which was great. So um, I was able to go. I met, as I said, there were 25 women, and they brought in everybody from every organization. There were people, there were researchers, doctors talking to us about different aspects of Parkinson's. We had exercise sessions. We had all kinds of things. It was 2.5 days. We were in a hotel in the middle of nowhere in New Jersey. I couldn't tell you where we were. I have no idea. But we had a great time. And at the end of the 3 days, we were told to go home and do something in our community. So I knew a few people in the Los Angeles area, a few women with Parkinson's. So the plan was to invite them to my house and have a meeting, just get together for a meeting. So the first meeting I had 3 women respond. They would come. And one called the night before and said, I'm not coming. I don't know anybody else with Parkinson's. I've never seen another person with Parkinson's, and I'm afraid to come. I said, okay, let's meet for coffee. So I met her for coffee later that week. The first 2 came to my house. We decided to try it again at a restaurant with a speaker. So I got the name of somebody who lived in LA from the Parkinson's Disease Foundation. And we had a lunch at a local deli. We had a private room, and we had 18 women show up. And it was great. It was wonderful. Everybody was so happy to be together. And I said, do you want to do this again? And it was a resounding yes. Let's keep meeting for a while. Let's see what we can do. But their priority was not to be a gripe group. They didn't want to be a group where you complained. They wanted to be a group where you got together with other women who had Parkinson's and just have fun. So I think the second meeting, I was already in boxing classes then, so I was able to arrange a meeting at the boxing gym. We had 30 women show up. We had a yoga session. We had all kinds of things. So we started meeting kind of informally in Los Angeles, mostly in people's homes, about every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on when I could get somebody scheduled. So it was really informal, and it grew and it grew and it grew because there was nothing else out there. And women were driving an hour to come to these meetings just to be with other women with Parkinson's. There was such a need for it. So we
Wow.
did that for, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years, and then the pandemic hit. And the pandemic hit on my birthday. Everything
Oh,
shut down.
no.
No, but so, and including the meeting we had on 3 days later on that Sunday. So I sent an email out to everybody. I said, we're going to do this on Zoom. Fortunately, I had done some Zoom meetings for another organization. So we did it on Zoom. We had 9 people. And we decided to meet every about twice a month until the end of the pandemic, which could be next week. It could be in 3 weeks. It wasn't going to be that long. So then we go back to meeting in person. We were so wrong. So we're still meeting online, usually about once a month, sometimes twice a month. And we've had, I don't know how many speakers, over
Yeah.
100 different speakers. We've had
Oh, my
over
goodness.
2,000 women participate from around the world.
Wow.
And it's been wonderful. And this started, we were in Tokyo for the World Parkinson's Congress in 2019. So this was a year after that. And there was just a real need for people to touch base with other women with Parkinson's. We had been hearing by then there were a lot of bloggers. We had gone from 2 or 3 to I don't know how many. And when we were in Japan for this conference, talking to the other bloggers, everybody was saying the same thing. People they needed a personal touch. They needed a mentor. They needed somebody who could help guide them, when they're first diagnosed. And everybody was in the same boat. Everybody was getting those phone calls, can you talk to so-and-so? So when the pandemic started, it was like the perfect opportunity to explore how to pair women together and have, somebody who's experienced Parkinson's mentor somebody who was newly diagnosed. And this we started about a year after the webinar started, because we were seeing a real need for it. The women were
That's great.
bonding online. We were getting anywhere from 20 to 80 people at a session, depending on the topic.
Wow.
And they were talking to each other, and they didn't want to get off. We'd finish up and they'd say, well, can we stay on and talk a little more? just having conversations. There was a need to be in touch with other people. Nobody wanted to be isolated. We were forced into it because of the pandemic. So it was one of the wonderful things that came out of having to meet online.
It sounds fabulous, really. What a turnout you were getting. And you're right, there
Yeah.
is such a need. And so not in terms of, a medical, in other words, like the, here it's just like so friendly and
Hmm.
rather than it being like in a doctor's office, or a group.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
And and the way I run the meetings, and you saw this the other day, people
mhm.
are free to ask questions. We ask that they put them in the chat. And then after, there's always time at the end for people, just anybody can ask any questions they want. And it's never been a high pressure thing. It's very casual. And we've
Exactly.
had we've had researchers, we've had doctors, we've had exercise people, nutritionists, you name it. I mean, if there's anything we had drumming for Parkinson's, taiko drumming, we had Reiki, we've had Qigong, we've had yoga, boxing, ping pong, you name it, we've done it.
It's amazing, really
Yeah.
amazing the
And
the breadth.
and the speakers, when I contact them, they're thrilled to do it because they're reaching out to the community in a way that they can't in any other way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, um, you're talking about the different guests you've had. Um, could you, oh, so you did go over specific ones, but what I want to get to is the research
Hmm.
that's being done right now for
Yeah.
PD and
Hmm.
both for symptomatic treatment and also for hopefully a cure one day. But what do you see, and what is your
I don't know.
yeah.
I've for years I've said it's like a dartboard. You just keep throwing the darts, and one day you're going to hit the bullseye. Um, it's coming. They're coming from so many different angles on the research, whether it's in the gut or it's coming starting in the brain. If it's genetic, there's a lot of different things, and they know it's mitochondria cell death that is the main cause, but I think that there's a whole thing with the vagus nerve, which runs from the digestive system to the brain,
Mhm.
and that it could start there. And I think there's just a lot of theories that they're just trying to figure out which ones are going to stick. One
Yeah.
day they're going to find. I don't think there's going to be one cause. Well, first of all, if you've read Ray Dorsey's book Parkinson's Plan,
Yeah, I'm
this is all
planning on
about.
getting that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's they discuss a lot about Camp Lejeune, where they had TCE, the chemical TCE, which is used in dry cleaning, was dumped in the water. It was in the drinking water, and that caused brain, cell death. Um, and lots of pesticides, used in our farm agriculturally. The interesting thing is they're manufactured in places like Great Britain where they're banned. They can't use it there because they know it's a poison. But our FDA says, oh, it's okay. It doesn't cause a problem. Wrong.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so a lot of this is the book is about how you can maximize your or minimize your chances of getting Parkinson's. I think for many it's too late. It's in the groundwater everywhere. And in fact, I even saw on a pill bottle that I bought, was some gummies, and on the label it said something about, well, this is an organic product, but we don't know what chemicals are in the earth.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's
So
it's all
um,
over.
it's all over, and it's can they clean it up everywhere? Probably not. There's some major research going on in the Central Valley of California because of the use of pesticides there for years, and
Mm.
a lot of the farmers and farm workers have Parkinson's.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah,
And then
So
also to put out fires, I think they use chemicals.
yeah, there's all kinds of things. And I know for me, I have what's called idiopathic. They don't know what the cause of it is. I don't have, there are several Parkinson's genes. I do not have a gene. But when I was a kid growing up in the Midwest, we used to ride our bicycles behind the mosquito abatement trucks, which were spraying God only knows what chemicals. And we were riding our bikes right behind them, breathing those chemicals in. And I've talked to other people with Parkinson's who grew up in the Midwest and had the same experience. So
Wow.
that's probably where mine came from. I
Mm-hmm,
can't prove
mm-hmm.
it. Um, I
Right,
might be
right.
able to, there's some lawsuits going on against the chemical companies, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know that I just don't think I'm going to get involved in that.
Right, right, right.
But you know what? But who knew? Nobody knew at that time in the 50s. Who knew that these things were going to cause brain damage later?
Yeah, and then now we have the plastics. You just do your best to,
Yeah. Get an
uh,
air purifier for your home.
exactly. Yeah.
It's the
I
start.
mean, for me, it's on both sides of my family. First of all, I just found out. Um, but I also did stupid things like in my art studio, spray
Mhm.
painting without wearing a mask indoors. In any case, I think also maybe traumas, it can be a lot of different reasons, right?
Right. Hmm.
Um, so it's you call your blog and webinar Twitchy Woman. Are men included?
When the blog was intended for everybody. Twitchy
Mm-hmm.
Woman was referred to me, not to other women. Um,
Right.
when we started the group, they wanted to do something for women only because there just wasn't anything out there. And so when we started the webinars, especially it was women only because they wanted the opportunity to just be able to talk freely. And when we had been meeting in people's homes, most of the time it was women only. On occasion, we'd say, it's open to everybody and spouses would come. It just depended on the topic. We had a sex therapist once, and the men wanted to come, and we said, "You can come, but you can't come in the room. You know, you can do your own thing outside, but we are not. You cannot come in the." And we had a standing room only crowd that day. But anyway, when we started online, we decided to keep it women only because it just was comfortable that way. And
I
occasionally,
like
as I
that.
said, we'd open it up to anybody, spouses, caregivers, um,
Mm-hmm.
children, whoever wanted to join. It just depended on the topic. In the last 6 months to a year, I've just kind of said, whoever comes. But
Right.
it's funny, I'll get one or two men who join us and they look at the screen and they go, "What am I doing here? Bye." You know? So
That's so funny. I
yeah.
like that that it's geared to women, though. I mean, yeah, it's brings us together. And as you had said, hmm, well, what are the misconceptions about Parkinson's?
Besides it's an old white man's disease, Parkinson's has only been around about 200 years
Wow.
because there were no pesticides before. It was really the start of the Industrial Revolution. And when James Parkinson wrote his paper on the shaking palsy in 1817, whenever it was,
Mm-hmm.
the air in London was so bad from pollution that you couldn't see. And that was part of his paper, but it was like with the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we had so many pollutants in the air that it started to affect our brains. So Parkinson's, I think Alzheimer as well. I think they're both relatively new diseases um,
Mm-hmm.
that weren't around 400 years ago.
Right, right. Hmm.
So as we
Um,
became more and more industrialized, we poisoned ourselves more and more.
exactly. And the beat goes on in terms of
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Um, Getting back to your webinar, Can you tell us, well, you did touch upon your mentoring program, um, and I also that you raise money to have to give scholarships for. Could you explain that for the
Yeah,
World
that
PD
was our
Congress?
greatest joy. There's a woman who participates in my programs who is an artist. She's a book artist, and she created a book called Exquisite Women, Exquisite Warriors. And she had 26 women with Parkinson's disease, and there were 26 pages, one for each letter of the alphabet. So each page was a different symptom. And so I was one of the 26 women, and the page was, it was like a kid's book where there were three, a top, middle, and a bottom, and you can flip and mix and match. And it was a lot of fun. So she called me one day and said, I would like to contribute some of the earnings from the book to Twitchy Woman and to two other women's organizations. And so she said, I wanted to do something for women with Parkinson's. So we sat down and we decided that a good use of the money would be to offer scholarships to go to the World Parkinson's Congress in Barcelona 2 years ago. We would pay for the registration fee, and then they would be responsible for everything else. And we ended up taking 9 women. A couple had to cancel last minute, but we took 9 women, paid for the registration fee, and they loved it. But the best part is they were expected to do what we did after I went to that conference in New Jersey, and it's to pay it forward. That was so they had to kind of sign a contract saying that they would use what they learned and do something in their home community. And every
Oh,
single one of them is doing something wonderful and exciting in their
oh,
community.
that is
So
great.
we raised the money, and we had a little more than we needed because a couple people canceled. So we had some activities in Barcelona, for the group. We had a dinner for the group the opening night, where they could all get together. We had T-shirts for everybody, and we had other opportunities. But we made sure that they all got to know each other opening night, so that they would have somebody to hang out with if they wanted to. So we ended up with 27 women with Parkinson's in our group,
Oh,
including those 9, and care partners and family members and friends. We had close to 50 people under the banner of Twitchy Woman. And
wow.
I am
That's
not an
great.
official nonprofit. I have a sponsor, so, but I'm not an official organization. And that being said, we were a force at the Congress because people they knew who we were. We were everywhere. And it was great. It was just a wonderful wonderful use of the money. So we decided we're going to do that again this year, for the Congress that's coming up in May in Phoenix, and which is great for all of us in the U.S. because it's local. And
Right.
we hope to have a lot more than 9 women apply for the scholarships, and they are less money. The registration fee is actually less here than it was in Barcelona. So the application deadline, if you're interested,
Mhm.
is in 2 days, October 16th. Uh, it falls
Okay.
under travel grants on the World Parkinson's Congress webpage. And
Mm.
when you start to fill out the travel grant application, if you say that you have not been to a previous World Parkinson's Congress, then you will be taken to the page for our our grants. Otherwise, you don't get it.
Mm.
So the requirement is to be a first timer, a woman who is a first timer to the World Parkinson's Congress. And then, you have some questions on the application, and, it states very clearly that you're expected to do something in your community when you get home. So if you are interested, I
Yeah.
will shoot me an email and I will help you get it in, but it has to be in by the 16th.
Oh, okay. I shall
And we're
try.
having a big fundraiser in November. We're having a comedy night. That was,
Yes, I was going
you
to
know,
ask you about that.
people come to me with all kinds of ideas. And one of the women that I am taking ping pong with and boxing with, her husband does stand-up comedy, amongst other things. And they came to me one day and said, we want to propose that we do a comedy night for you to raise money for the scholarships. So we have Papa Robbie is the name he goes by. So he's the spouse, he's a care partner of a person with Parkinson's. We have two men with Parkinson's who do stand-up comedy professionally. We have another storyteller who used to write for SNL, and Eddie Murphy wrote Coming to America movies, and a couple of well-known comedians, and it's going to be great. So
Sounds
that will be
great.
on Sunday, November 9th, and we are going to be streaming it. We hope, we hope. And there will be a fee for the streaming, though, so, because we need to raise money. But the
Mhm.
nice thing is we will know how much money we need going into the event, because as of Thursday, October 17th, I will have I will know how many people applied for scholarships.
Mhm, mhm. Sounds good. It sounds
Yeah.
actually sounds great.
Yeah. So since you've never been to a World Parkinson's Congress, am I correct?
Yes,
You
that's
can
right.
go.
I haven't.
You're eligible if you want. But we
I'm
are
eligible.
asking people if they can afford to, if you can afford to go on your own, you know,
Right.
we
Oh,
want to give the money to those who really can't do it without help,
right, right.
you know.
Well, I will look at the application, and it would. I first of all, I'm definitely going to go. You said it's going to be streamed, the comic
Yeah.
event, the comedy event. So I do performance art, and I use humor, so I love it.
Oh, good.
And
My
we
husband's actually performing too. I didn't say it.
really.
Yeah, he plays guitar, and
Oh,
one of the men I'm on an advisory committee for a drug trial, and one of the doctors who's involved, he rewrote the lyrics to Rocky Raccoon and calls it Parky Raccoon, and his son performed it at the Congress in Barcelona. So I emailed
oh,
him and I
wow.
said, my husband plays guitar. I said, can we get the words? Is it okay if we use the song? Because it just fits right in. And he said, of
Hmm.
course. So
Oh,
my husband's going
wonderful.
to be playing that. So,
Great.
and
That's
I'm hoping he
great.
will do Witchy Woman too and just change it to Twitchy Woman, but we'll see.
Right,
We
right,
will
right,
see.
right. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Always full of wonderful ideas and events. And okay, so talk about self-care. And I'm sure the role of exercise plays a big part for
Yeah.
you.
Exercise. I've always been an exerciser, and I was working out with a personal trainer for 10 years before I was diagnosed.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I had, I just have been hitting the gym since I was in my early 20s. And I played tennis for years. I don't play anymore. It had to stop because during the pandemic I kind of lost my balance a little bit, and I just couldn't play tennis. It's too hard. But
Right.
but ping pong is great. I can do that, and I do very well because of my tennis skills. So I have a lot of fun with that.
Oh, I
But
bet.
but you know, and I'm sure all of you know, taking care of yourself, self-care is a full-time job. It's not just exercising. It's taking your medications on time every time, not missing a dose. It is eating well, getting sleep, finding the right exercise classes for you. If you're doing something and you don't like it, you're not going to continue. So if
Mhm.
there's a lot of different ways you can exercise, and there's a lot, I mean, they've even got rock climbing classes now for people with Parkinson's. There's anything you want, you can find in a Parkinson's class. And it's amazing. I mean, really, from having zero, and I mean zero uh, things to do 15 years ago, there's just been an explosion, and I think it's amazing. But find a couple different kinds of exercise that you like, that you will go to. If you like swimming, swim. If you don't like swimming, like I don't like swimming, don't go, because it'll be torture. And
Mhm, mhm.
find somebody to go with you that you have fun with. Um, you know, when they started the ping pong classes here, I called my friend Farrell and I said, "You want to go?" She says, "I don't play, but let's do it." And she's great. We've both been doing it since it started, and we have a lot of fun. So, get a buddy to
Mhm,
exercise
mhm.
with you. but it just, you've got to take care of yourself. That's your number one priority. And if
Hmm.
your care partner doesn't get it, they need to, you need to talk to them. Um, it's really
Right.
essential that the people you are living with understand what you are going through. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and Parkinson's friends are invaluable because you talk the same language. You don't have to be best friends, but you understand each other on a level that your non-Parkinson's friends, they don't get it. But don't discount them. You need both types of friends. Um,
Mm.
and a lot of people, I've heard over and over again how many people, their husbands abandoned them, or their friends have left them, abandoned them because they don't know how to deal with it. We have a hard time dealing with illnesses, and Parkinson's is not a fatal illness. And
Right.
a lot of people like Milenka and myself are doing well after 15, 20 years. 20 years ago, this was unheard of. Doctors were telling people you have 5 good years. You'll be in a wheelchair in 5 years. Well, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And I know since I was diagnosed, I have one friend diagnosed at the same time. He's has a real hard time with balance. And one other person who I met in my boxing classes who is in a wheelchair, but everybody else is upright. They're still moving.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
more you move, the better you feel.
Do
And
you think it's might be true that you can reverse a lot of the symptoms, the disease with exercise? I thought
that's
I
what,
had.
the movement now is to call exercise should be prescribed as medicine.
Hmm.
Exercise is medicine. They have found that people who are not doing well, and I've seen this happen. This one woman would come into our boxing class, she could barely move. By the end of
Mm.
the hour, she was moving just fine. You have to keep at it. You can't just do it once and expect it to last forever. It just doesn't. But
Right. Mm.
you've got to do it on a regular basis. And they recommend 5 to 6 days a week, at least
Wow.
30 minutes a day of exercise, preferably intense exercise. I do my cardio on a Peloton bike, which is great.
Wow.
You get a great workout, but yoga gives you a totally different type of workout. So,
Hmm.
you need the stretching. So you need a little of everything. You need cardio,
Right.
you need stretching, you need strength training. Don't discount strength training. That's really important to keep your muscle strength. And if you have questions, you don't know what to do, go to a physical therapist, and they can help prescribe an exercise routine for you that will work. They can tell you what is available for you. Some PT practices have a whole range of things that they offer. They offer exercise
Yeah.
classes. Some don't. It just depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
If you're in a city
True.
that's lucky enough to have a Parkinson's center, go there because they've got all kinds of classes, and that's the place to be. We can't get anything going in West LA. It's terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah. With as many people as we have, nobody can get anything going, and we were trying to figure out how to do it without stepping on toes. But
What do you
you
think
know,
about um, cognitive decline?
that scares me the
Yeah,
most.
me too.
I think losing your cognitive ability is the most frightening thing, because that's who you are.
Hmm.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just a matter, we go into a room and say, what am I doing here? Everybody does that. That's not the kind of that's not cognitive decline. There's a name for it and I forget what it is, but it's very common. We're on overload, and, so your
Brain
brain just
fog.
says, it says, okay, let's play a game here. I'm not gonna cooperate. Um, but you know, not knowing where you are, not being able to function, it's like just everyday things that were used to be so easy, they just automatically came to us. It gets harder and harder as we get older. And we know that part of that is normal, but when it becomes dementia, then it's another story.
Yeah,
Yes. And
very much so.
yeah. And, you
But
know,
but I
I
think
want to,
exercise definitely helps in that,
well,
even
it
in
keeps the
for the.
blood flowing to your brain. So we hope
Mhm.
it helps. So,
Didn't you say you mentioned someone who does headstands and he feels
oh
that
yeah,
it definitely prevents
yeah.
dementia?
I, I get off. People send me books. I've had somebody sent me socks that supposedly keep you from falling. And anyway, so I get an email from this guy and he says, I'd love to have you read my book. And he's from Poland. So he had a translator translate the book into English. So he sent me the PDF, and he also sent me a copy of the book. It's a very short book, but it's very sweet. And part of his routine is doing headstands. And I have to tell you, when I was doing yoga pre-pandemic, I was doing headstands all the time. I don't do
Wow.
them as much anymore, but
Mm.
it really feels good.
Mm.
You know, I
I,
do it
I
against the
used,
wall. I don't do it in the middle of the room. I never could do that. But just doing a headstand against the wall,
mhm.
it's something, it does something to you. I don't know, well, besides the blood going to your brain, it feels
Right.
good. And I should be
Yeah.
doing more of it.
Well, you do a
So, but
lot.
that's his whole theory is that headstands, he starts with headstands and cold showers.
Oh, okay.
I've tried
See,
that. It's
see,
actually kind of fun.
that's what's confusing. I used to do that. But then I heard, oh, you have to be gentle with people with Parkinson's. For example, massage. You know,
Nah,
if they dig into those muscle knots, it's
you
problem.
need those muscle knots to be dug into. You got to do what's comfortable for you.
Of course. Hmm.
And that's what I tell people. You do what you can. And if you feel this is the best you can do, try to add just a little bit more
Hmm.
and a little bit more. You'll find it wasn't the best you could do. Eventually you can do better. And I think that's the whole thing about exercise with Parkinson's. As you do more and more, you will be able to do more. Um, I will tell you real quick about Jimmy Choi. Does everybody know who Jimmy Choi is? You may or may not.
Yeah.
Jimmy was young onset. He was diagnosed at about age 27, 28.
Oh.
He had two little kids, and he just sat on the couch for 5 years, did nothing. He ate a lot and gained weight, and he was walking with a cane because he gained so much weight. And he fell down the stairs carrying his son one day and that was his wake up call. So he walked to the corner and back. That was about all he could handle. And the next day he walked a little bit farther and a little bit farther. By the end of the year, he was doing half marathons. He has been on American Ninja Warrior as a finalist like 5 times. He's an amazing spokesperson for the community, and he shows what you can do if you put exercise into your routine, and it really makes a huge difference. As does
Mm.
attitude. So his attitude before and his attitude after, which is 180 degrees, that made big change in his life. And when I talk to people, one of the main things I try to figure where is their head in this? When somebody's newly diagnosed, they're overwhelmed. We all were, how can you not be? And I took 2 calls one week from 2 women, both in Los Angeles, both of them mid 70s, and they were as different as could be. The first one, her husband had died about 6 months before, a year before. Her son was a pilot. He lived in Florida. He came to see her occasionally. She didn't know how to use a computer, um, and she didn't know what to do. She couldn't do anything. She hurt all over, blah, 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 blah. Anything I suggested, her answer was no. I can't do it. I can't do it. I said, just walk to the mailbox and back. Then the next day, walk 2 times to the mailbox and back. No, I can't. I can't. I can't. So whatever I suggested was out. The second woman, it was, I'm still working. She's an interior designer. High-powered interior decorator, and she didn't want to give up work. She didn't want her clients to know she had Parkinson's. How can she function? How can she live well with Parkinson's? And anything we suggested, yes, 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 I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. So here we are 3 years later. The first one, I see her cousin occasionally. He's the one, I know him. He's a friend of mine, and he referred her to me. How's she doing? Well, she's now in a nursing home in a wheelchair. The other one was doing great, and then she started having other issues, and it turns out she's got MS on top of her Parkinson's. But she's feeling okay, and her voice is what's affected the most. But she's still got that positive attitude, and she will stay home and live well for a much longer time, than our first one, who ended up in a nursing home after 2 years. And it really, isolation, which is what isolation and apathy were what caused the downfall of this first one. If she could have said, yeah, you know what, I'd like to try that and get out. She had a caregiver who was living with her because she needed one. Have the caregiver take her and get her out among people, get out and do things. You see a big difference.
Yeah,
But when they say
absolutely.
no, 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 there's nothing you can do. It's
Yeah,
very sad. It's very sad.
it
And I've
really
seen this
is.
happen. Yeah.
Socializing is very, very important. We talk about that, not just in
Yeah.
terms of PD, but, all
Yeah. And
disabled people.
they've been doing a lot of research has been coming out about isolation and aging and the effects
Mhm.
of isolation.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much. I
Oh,
don't know
you're
if you want
welcome.
to add anything as your last word to us.
So some people may have questions as
Yeah.
well.
If anybody
Well,
has
that's right.
questions, uh, just go ahead and ask. I see there's somebody wrote something in the chat. Let's see if that's a question. Oh, no, it's just the next in the series. Okay. Yeah, if you have questions, you want to unpin us, and then people can just raise their hands and I can call on them.
Sure.
So if you unpin us, we can just do a whole gallery view and we can see who's out there. Any questions?
Yeah, this is Joe Rappaport. I have my hand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. I was, I mean, obviously, I know people with Parkinson's who have, done some of the things that you've talked about, and obviously, as you pointed out, each person has their own story, and sometimes exercise, for instance, or other changes, unfortunately don't affect what happens to them. So I just want to make that clear. But obviously you can make a difference for some people, but not necessarily for everyone. But the question I had though is, are the people who are mostly involved with with these get-togethers and online, are they mostly women who have Parkinson's?
Yeah.
And there's other groups, I assume, for people who are caretakers and so on.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we started it was specifically, when we started online, it was women only with
Right.
Parkinson's. We didn't want their caregiver, if they couldn't, sit at the computer without a care partner, then it's a different story. Some of them they
Sure.
would occasionally have. But I've had women in wheelchairs participating in some of the exercise programs. Everybody progresses at a different rate. If you add exercise into the mix with your medications, your self-care routine, hopefully it will slow down the progression. It's not going to avoid it completely, but it will hopefully slow it down. And that's what the research is showing. The first research that was done on that was actually right around 2010. So, it's a pretty new field, but there was a bike ride across Iowa called Radbraid. There's a ride across Iowa I forget what the rest of it was, but there was a researcher who rode a tandem bike with a friend who had Parkinson's. And after the second or third day, he realized that she was doing a whole lot better as she was riding tandem with him. And what he was doing was he had her he had her
Right.
pedaling at a certain rate. And he came back to his lab in Cleveland and started doing research on exercise and Parkinson's, and found that intense exercise really will help to reverse some of the symptoms, and it will slow down the progression of the disease. So that's when the research started. So it's a relatively new field. So
Right.
and there's a lot of great research going on now. Daniel Korkos at Northwestern is doing a lot of research with people all over the country, and he's a good one to follow if you're interested in knowing what the research is showing on Parkinson's.
Oh, can that be put in the chat, or else I
Um,
need you to spell it?
he doesn't. I don't think he has a website. He's a professor at Northwestern. He has a monthly webinar, monthly session for people with Parkinson's and their care partners,
Mhm.
which is great. I mean, he's one of the few researchers. There are researchers out there who have never met a person with Parkinson's, yet they're doing research on the disease. So go
Hmm.
figure. He,
Right.
he's there. He wants to know what we think. What questions do we have? What do we want? What kind of research do we want? And we need more people like him.
By the way,
Mhm.
I did put a link to the bike ride across Iowa in the chat.
Oh,
Just
you found it. Oh, okay. Yeah.
and at the end of the ride, you apparently you get a piece of corn. That's
Yeah,
what
something like that. You start at the
that's the
Missouri River
award.
and you end at the Mississippi River. Now, I grew up
Iowa.
in St. Louis, and I can get you there in an hour rather than 5 days, because you can start at the Missouri River and just go across North St.
Iowa.
Louis and end up in this Mississippi. But they didn't like when I suggested that.
Anyway.
So didn't go over big. Yes.
This Gabriella.
Gabrielle. Yes.
Hi, Sharon. It's nice
Hi.
to meet you, and
Nice
thank
to
you
meet
for
you.
doing this today. I was just put on Cinemet last week. I've been having shakes and twitches, and my foot has like a tremor. My
Mhm.
hand doesn't want to work correctly, um, and they're not sure what it is yet. I have not been formally diagnosed yet.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for them to schedule a DAT scan for me
Okay. Yeah.
to find
Okay.
out.
There are newer tests out now that you don't have to go through that. I will tell you what they did. Putting you on Cinemet is that was the first way of determining whether somebody had Parkinson's. If it helps, then you have Parkinson's. If it doesn't help you, you might have essential tremor or something else.
It helps.
But if it helps,
Yeah.
then
My brother just recently died with an aggressive form of Parkinson's.
Okay, then you probably have one of the gene mutations, and the Parkinson's Foundation has a whole gene testing program, and at no cost. If you're interested, you can get yourself tested, and I think it's worth it because they're finding that if you have a gene mutation, there are things they can do with gene therapy that can help, that may or may not help somebody like me because mine is not genetic. But it does help people who have the different mutations. So you may want to check into that. So just go to the Parkinson's Foundation website, and it's PD Generation, GENERATIO.
Generation.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Catchy.
But you may want to try that. But there's some, I just read there's a new blood test. There's some other ways of testing. But if you respond positively to the Cinemet, it's most likely Parkinson's.
Yeah, I
And
still have a little bit, but it has died down immensely, and my toes are not spasmed in a curl anymore.
yeah, okay, that's a good sign. I mean, it's
yeah.
not a good sign that you have Parkinson's, but it means that you don't.
But it means that, yeah, we can
This is what's
diagnose
going
it
to
and
help for
there's
you.
treatment, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And I didn't go on it for 5 years. I mean, my doctor was at the old school was, well, let's not chase the tremor. And I was uh, in a position at the time in a volunteer organization. I was doing a lot of public speaking. And if I didn't have a podium to hide behind, I didn't know where to put my hand. It was you know, and the more the more scared you are, of course, the worse it gets. So you're holding,
Yes,
your paper like this.
I've noticed
And
how badly stress affects it.
yeah. So, it sounds like you're on the right path if it's
I
helping
have
you.
a good doctor. She's really great. She's very thorough and she's very
Mhm.
caring.
Mhm.
And she has a lot of diagnoses under her belt over the years.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm in good hands.
Yeah. But you may want to ask her, how is it necessary to put you through a DAT scan? I never had one. They weren't doing them when I was diagnosed.
I don't even know
Um,
really how they are done or what they're
I'm not
about.
quite sure, but
It's like a nuclear medicine thing.
yeah.
Yes, I had it done.
I'll ask her. I'm due back in a month.
Yeah.
I guess she'll be able to tell me more now that she has all of the
Yeah. But
1,000
if you've responded,
MRIs she had me
if you have
do.
responded positively to Cinemet, she may say, you know what, we don't even need to do the DAT scan.
Mhm. Right, right. That makes sense. Well, thank you
So,
so much. You've really opened up my eyes to a lot because I had no idea what to do with this. You
oh,
know,
okay. And check out, I hate to tout my blog, but check it out. I've got a lot of information on my blog. If you go through especially the old ones, the first ones, I talked a lot about different symptoms and things. So
great.
I might have
I'll check
one
it
for
out.
newly diagnosed. I can't even remember anymore. It
Well,
becomes a
thank you for
blur. It's
that.
like,
Yes,
how is it, how the time has just flown by, right, Milenka?
yes,
I
yes.
mean,
It
I'm
has. You
going on
had
17 years. She's 20 years. Yeah, I didn't expect to be here.
Wow.
I was supposed to be in a wheelchair.
I
So,
only started having having the shakes is what I've been calling it. Since about a year since my mom passed away. It was
you've had a lot of trauma.
yeah,
Yeah,
my
carry on.
mom passed on leap year, February 29th. And then a year
mm,
and a day later, my brother died with Parkinson's and AML leukemia.
I,
And I have CML leukemia, which is, much less aggressive than AML. But
mhm,
uh but just the fact that he had Parkinson's for almost 3 years and didn't he attributed his slowing down and all the changes, all the symptoms as getting older. He had no clue that he
mm,
had Parkinson's until it was too late, really.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you're
On
on top of
AML.
it. So I'm sending you lots of good wishes and healing. And
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes,
yeah.
for sure.
I put
Okay.
a link to your blog, Sharon,
Oh,
into the chat. I took care of
thank you.
that. So,
Yes,
and we'll
thank you.
send it around to other people as well. I know we had other people who were signed up who didn't make it, but this has been really informative. Milenka, do you want
Yes.
the last word?
Uh, well, okay, yes. It's been an
She's never at a
absolute,
loss for words.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but it's been a pleasure, Sharon. Really, you shared so much. And also, by the way, I want to thank our ASL interpreters. I needed to introduce them. There's Paulina and Carrie. Thank you very, very much for all the work that you did. And I guess if you have interest, or if you meet people who have Parkinson's, you could. We will have all the information here about Sharon's webinar and also her blog. So thank you. Any last minute comments from anybody else?
Just to say thanks to you also, Milanka, for putting this together.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure, really.
Thank you.
So, and then next time we're going to have Katinka Newhoff talk about cerebral palsy. So that should be interesting too. Thank you again, Sharon.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is my pleasure. And don't worry about the turnout. I've found that about a third of the people who sign up or actually show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
And the others watch the recording. So,
we're
but
familiar with
they
that.
miss it, but they miss out because they don't get a chance to ask their own
Yeah.
questions.
No,
That's right.
This has been really great. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. And if anybody gets to Beverly Hills, let me know you're coming. I'll meet you for
And
coffee.
I'll be in touch with you, Sharon.
Okay.
All right then.
All right.
And goodbye to now wait. Your puppy's name, Pepper.
Pepper. Yes.
What a
Oh, what a
cutie.
little
Where is she?
sweetie.
Oh, she's right back there, wagging her tail.
She's
Yeah.
so
Come here, baby.
cute.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, come here. She had a haircut today, so she's not a happy camper. Say hello. Say hello. All right. I'm not going to talk to anybody. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Pepper.